Phil Knight was not born extraordinary. He was quiet, introverted, always observing, always thinking. Growing up in Portland, Oregon, he found comfort in only one place: running. On the track, he felt free. His mind opened. His ideas came alive. Running wasn't just a sport for Phil. It was a language, a rhythm, a path into the unknown. But life off the track, that was different. After graduating college, Phil felt stuck. He didn't know who he was. He didn't know what he wanted. He worked boring accounting jobs. Jobs that drained him. Jobs that made him feel invisible. He knew he wanted more, but he didn't know how to begin. Then came the moment that changed everything. In a business class, Phil wrote a paper, not just any paper, a theory. He argued that Japan would one day dominate the athletic shoe industry, just like it had dominated cameras and electronics. But it wasn't just a school assignment. It was an idea that refused to die. Phil Knight called it his crazy idea. With no plan, no funding, and almost no savings, Phil bought a plane ticket to Japan. Why? Because he believed in the power of chasing the unknown. What awaited him there was the beginning of an empire. In Japan, Phil walked into the offices of a small shoe company called Onitsuka Tiger. He was nervous. He had no business card, no company, nothing to offer. But he had passion. And passion, he's contagious. He convinced the executives to let him distribute their shoes in the United States. And just like that, with nothing but a handshake, Phil Knight accidentally became a businessman. Phil returned to America with a box of samples. He had no office, no warehouse, no employees. He used his parents' basement. He stored shoes in the trunk of his car. He sold them at racetracks on weekends. One by one, people started to notice something different about these shoes. They were lighter. They were lighter, faster, better. Word began to spread. Phil Knight had started something special, and he didn't even realize it yet. Everything changed the day Phil approached his old track coach, Bill Bowerman. Bowerman wasn't just a coach. He was a perfectionist, a scientist. A man obsessed with making athletes faster, no matter the cost. He tore shoes apart, rebuilt them, experimented with new materials. And when Bowerman partnered with Phil, Blue Ribbon Sports became unstoppable. From the outside, Blue Ribbon looked promising. But behind the scenes, Phil was drowning. They were always short on money, always fighting suppliers, always begging banks for loans. Phil worked 2 jobs. His nights were filled with paperwork. His days were spent selling shoes. He sacrificed everything: sleep, friendships, stability. But quitting, never. In the early 1970s, disaster struck. Onitsuka Tiger, the company Phil had worked so hard to build, tried to steal his business and cut him out completely. Phil had 2 choices: give up or fight back. He chose to fight. Phil decided to create his own brand. A new beginning, a symbol of victory. They chose the name Nike, after the Greek goddess of triumph. For the logo, they hired a young design student. She created the swoosh for just $35. Phil Knight wasn't sure he liked it, but the world was about to fall in love. Bill Bowerman had a habit of experimenting. One morning, he poured rubber into his wife's waffle iron and changed history. The waffle soul was born. Nike's waffle trainer became a national sensation. Stores sold out. Athletes demanded more. Nike was no longer a small business. It was a movement, but success didn't make the journey easier. Nike faced lawsuits. Factories failed. Banks pulled out. The company almost collapsed more than once. Phil Knight was exhausted, but he refused to surrender. Aside, when you feel tired, run faster. In 1984, Nike made its boldest move yet. They signed a rookie, a young, unknown basketball player. His name? Michael Jordan. The world didn't know him yet, but Nike saw something in him: greatness. The Air Jordan line exploded into culture. It became more than a shoe. It became a symbol of identity, rebellion, excellence. Nike's future changed forever, from running tracks to fashion streets, from athletes to artists, from sports arenas to every country on earth. Nike became more than a brand. It became a lifestyle, a religion, a global phenomenon. And behind it all was the kid from Oregon who once felt lost. Today, Nike generates tens of billions every year. The swoosh is one of the most recognized symbols in human history. Phil Knight became one of the richest men in the world, but if you ask him what made Nike succeed, he doesn't mention money, or luck, or talent. He says two words: never stop. Phil Knight's story teaches us that greatness isn't born. It's built in silence, in doubt, in fear, in persistence. Your idea may seem crazy. Your dream may seem impossible. Your path may seem uncertain. But remember, Nike began with nothing. No money, no connections, no guarantees. Just a dream and the courage to chase it. So don't wait. Don't hold back. Don't let fear decide your future. Because every legend, every empire, every revolution starts with one step. If this story inspired you, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and comment which founder's journey you want next. Your dream starts now.